Well, the training is happening all the time. The training to stay awake is happening all the time. You know, as you live your life identified with your mind, there's suffering happening. That's the training. That's the training. That's the nose pinching. The nose pinching is the thought activity and the emotional state that is a program that plays, and it's being triggered all the time by what's happening, and then we're confused and we take the suffering to be coming from what's happening instead of the mental state. This is the teaching. This is what the practice is. And so in order to get free from that, you have to be able to pay attention consistently. So that's one of the things we're practicing in meditation. What did what did David say the other night? He said that meditation, he said it different ways. Meditation is an insult, or it's a humiliation. The practice of meditation is humiliation. What's the humiliation?
You're ignoring the personality.
The reason that people quit meditation before they establish a practice is because they can't stand the humiliation. When people sit down to meditate in their naive state of mind, they think it's easy, don't they? Oh, I'm gonna practice meditation. How hard can it be, man? People just sit there and pay attention to your breath, man. I'm gonna practice meditation. It's cool. And then I can tell people I'm a meditator, right? But they go to practice it and they get humiliated because they can't do it.
Right.
That's humiliation.
Because the personality isn't real.
But they don't know that. They don't know that. So somebody who's practicing meditation, they think they can do it. And when they begin to experience that not only can they not do it, but they can hardly do it at all. How long are you going to keep doing this? How long is a personality that is an ego going to keep doing something that you can hardly do at all? How long are you going to do that? Not long. Most people don't do it long at all. Because as soon as you start experiencing the reality of it, as soon as you start experiencing the learning curve for meditation, you realize it's a very steep curve. It's a very steep curve, so most people aren't up for that. It's too hard. This is an Amazon world. We don't do anything that takes too long. We don't do anything that we can't get what we want sooner. We don't do it. That's part of, and everybody agrees on that. Everybody agrees that the sooner you can get what you want, the better, don't they? Everybody agrees on that. So that's the reality of the personality. We talk amongst ourselves and create this conspiracy, right? We talk amongst ourselves and create this conspiracy in which we believe, we continue to feed the belief that we're in control. We continue to feed the belief that we can make life work. We continue to feed the belief, even though the evidence is coming in daily that it's a failure. The evidence is coming in daily that it's a failure. So then it begs the question, so then the question becomes, why do you keep believing that you're going to succeed at something you never succeeded at? Why do you keep believing? This is the reason that some of the teachers say there's only one value and one purpose of the activity of the personality. There's only one value and one purpose of the activity of the personality, and that's to recognize its failure. That's the only value of it. If you don't recognize its failure, you're going to keep beating a dead horse. If you don't recognize its failure, you're going to keep trying to be happy your entire life and fail. If you don't recognize reality, you're going to keep trying to be happy your entire life and fail. How much evidence do you want before you stop? How far does it have to go before you stop? Before you give up this project, that you think that you're going to succeed at by getting what you want. That's the indoctrination that we've all been subjected to. Life is about the pursuit of happiness. And the pursuit of happiness is about getting what you want, and getting what you want produces happiness. This has failed on a mass scale. All you have to do is look at the evidence. You know, what's the evidence? Yeah. If this was workable, why is the suicide rate going up so fast? If this is workable, why are young people killing themselves more than they ever did? If this is working, why are more people dying from diseases that are directly related to emotional and mental states, like cancer? If people were succeeding at pursuing happiness, why is the world in the toilet? Why is everybody suffering the way that they're suffering? And why is the suffering getting worse? Because the more distractions that people have in order to give their attention to something else, right, the more empty they experience their life to be. The more you give your energy to distractions to try and keep you away from experiencing the truth, because the truth is you're suffering. That's why people are paying attention to distractions. Why? So they don't have to encounter their own mind. If you go to a meditation retreat, the purpose of the meditation retreat is for you to encounter your mind. No distractions, right? You're just going to sit there and be aware of the body. And when you're sitting there being aware of the body, what else is going to show up? The mental activity. And if you're practicing meditation, if you go to a meditation retreat, you're going to sit there with that mental activity hour after hour after hour after hour. And you're going to start to notice the difference. You see, if you're doing a meditation retreat and you've made a commitment to practice meditation hour after hour after hour for a whole week without talking to anybody and not having a phone, not watching TV, no movies, no distractions, no pornography, no drugs, no alcohol, no sex, nothing for a week. Take all the toys away. Take all your toys away, right? And you just sit there with your mind for a week. Sit there with you. And it becomes very clear what the source of your suffering is. Becomes very clear because there's nothing happening to you, right? There's no suffering happening because something is happening in the world. You're just sitting there in a very safe place, right? All your needs are taken care of. You don't have to pay attention to anything. You can focus your entire attention on just sitting there and being aware of the body breathing. You keep doing this hour after hour, you will see very clearly, without any doubt at all, what the source of your suffering is, because it'll be there talking to you the whole time. It'll be there talking to you the whole time. And if you practice the meditation, if you keep practicing meditation, which means that you keep moving your attention away from the mental activity over and over and over again, you start to experience, wait a minute, when my attention is away from the mental activity, there's a sense of relief. There's a sense of ease. There's a sense of peace, stillness, silence. It feels good to be in this experience, and this experience is the experience of myself as awareness. If you practice this in a retreat for a week straight, day after day, hour after hour, the reality of it becomes crystal clear. Crystal clear. And not only does it become crystal clear, but as the time passes and you keep not feeding, you keep not identifying with the mind, you keep not getting involved with the mind for a whole week. For a whole week, you keep not getting involved with the mind, right? You come away from that with a very clear understanding of what it would take for you to be happy. The two things it would take for you to be happy. Number one, pay attention. Right? Understand where your attention is, right? And cultivate your ability to maintain attention on what you're focusing on. And what do you want to focus your attention on if you want to understand how to actually get to the experience of being happy and in a state of well-being? What do you want to focus your attention on?
Your mind?
Yes. Why? Isn't that what you're doing when you're practicing meditation? When you practice meditation, and if you can't recognize when your mind happens, you can't practice. Yeah. What does our Zen teacher say? The quality of your life is a function of your relationship to the mental activity. How can you be related to the mental activity if you're not paying attention to it? How can you be aware of the fact that thoughts are arising in your mind and emotions are arising in your mind, right, that are torturing you? How can you be aware of that if you're not paying attention to it? If you're not paying attention to it and you're not distinguishing the mind as the mind, you will take it to be you. That's what you did before you learned this. You took it to be you. And when you took it to be you, when it suffered, you suffered, right? Yeah. But now we're learning, this conditioning, right? This conditioning is based on a mistaken understanding of who I am and what is real. Where did it come from? It came from when I was a child. And when I was a child, I took on board what people told me was true and real because I had no alternatives. And because I was a child, right, I made conclusions about myself and about life that weren't true because I was just a child. And those same conclusions, those same feelings and thoughts have been collected in a database in your mind. And every time something happens in the world that triggers that database, it plays those childish thoughts and childish feelings, and you behave consistent with those childish thoughts and childish feelings, and then you wonder why you're suffering. Yeah, because you're acting like a child. How does a child act? They act like they want what they want when they want it, don't they? That's a child. Right? They're being childish. They want to control things. They want to get people to pay attention to them. Isn't this what a child is? Yeah. Well, it's not just what a child is, it's what most adults are. Because most adults are running a child program. Yeah? And they behave according to the child program. They act like a child. The only problem is because you're acting like a child, but you're an adult in an adult body, right? With adult intellect, you have the ability to be a lot more dangerous. That's all. You're a lot more dangerous. So when you see this as the case, it becomes important for you to understand the first thing I have to do is cultivate my ability to consistently pay attention to this mental activity. Because when I identify with this mental activity, it tells me the world is causing me to suffer. Isn't that what your thoughts tell you? It's telling you that the other person, the neighbor next door, the other country, the other leader, the other circumstance, the weather, the money. It's telling you all those things that are happening are the source of your suffering. And so it puts you in a position that is impossible. The position it puts you in is you have to control everything that's happening all the time in order to be happy. If you just look at that, you can see how ridiculous that is. The only way you can be happy is to be in a position to control everything all the time that's happening, and then you can be happy. Most people are trying to do that even though it's impossible, right? They spend all their energy in their life trying to do that because they don't see any alternative. If I can't control the circumstances, I'll be miserable, I'll suffer, I'll be unhappy. The problem is that's not actually the source of the suffering. That's not actually the source of the suffering. I was working with one of my clients today, and he said it was a terrible week. He said it was a terrible week. I said, really? Is that true? See, we don't slow down and look. We don't slow down and look at things like that. We don't slow down and listen to our mouth being used by our mind. It was a terrible week. Oh, really? It was a terrible week. What happened during the week is just what happened. It wasn't bad, it wasn't good, it wasn't anything except what happened. Where did the terrible come from?
The way you perceive it.
Came from him.
The way you perceive it.
Yeah, the terrible came from what happened got processed by the mind, and the mind said, that's not the way it's supposed to be. That's not what I want to happen. That's not what should be happening, therefore it's terrible. But I don't recognize it's my mind that's causing the terrible. Right? And so I relate to the terrible as if it's the world that's terrible, if it's other people that are terrible. This is called ignorance. It's a disease. It's a mental disease. Your mind has a mental disease, right? The mental disease is your mind has a very limited understanding about the truth, very limited understanding about the truth based on very limited experiences that come from your conditioning, come from your past, that got passed down from your parents, that got passed down from their parents. We're still living with hundreds of generations ago. We're still living the same crazy shit. Hundreds of generations ago. And we don't even question it. We don't even look to see if it's working. We just assume that it's the truth. And if it doesn't work, it's because of the world. It has nothing to do with me. Has nothing to do with me. Until you get to a place where you see that the condition that you're suffering from is a mental state, not what's happening. When you're clear about that, you will start to pay attention to the mental state. And when it is crazy, you will do whatever you can to help it calm down and train it to stop expecting things to be different than the way they are. That's what you're training your mind for. Stop expecting things to be different than the way they are. If you gradually train your mind over time to stop expecting things to be different the way they are, you're training your mind to be like awareness. You're training your mind to be like the reality of what you are instead of this very limited version of what you are that's existing in time and space. So if you keep practicing over time, gradually, a little bit at a time, by coming to these meetings and by doing the practice, a little bit at a time, what will happen by paying attention to the mind is the mental state will end up being removed out of the way. You see through it. You see through the mental state. You understand it's not the final word. It's not the truth. So you see through it. You see past it. You hear what it's saying, but then you look to see, is that accurate? Is that a fit for what's happening? If what I'm doing isn't working, there's something that I'm missing, right? If what I'm doing isn't working, there's something that I'm missing. And what most people are missing is they're missing the fact that the suffering that's occurring is coming from the mental state, not from the world.
Is this how you define wisdom, like how you relate to your mind and your thoughts? Like if you see them as thoughts and they're not real, is that wisdom?
Yeah. Well, you are wisdom. You know, what you are is wise. Your nature is wisdom. What is wisdom? Wisdom is the truth. That's all. Wisdom is the truth. So are you living living your life with the truth? Are you living your life with wisdom? Or are you living your life with information that was passed down? That's what you have to look at. You have to understand that there's a big difference between wisdom and information. Information is just information. It's not accurate. Most of the information that people have is not accurate information, right? Because it's information that is dependent on a very limited condition. The mental state is unlimited. That's one of the reasons that it's valuable, because if you understand the teachings and you understand the truth, and because you understand that you're doing the practices, no matter what, consistently you're doing the practices, consistently you're attending meetings about the truth, consistently you're continuing to expand your understanding of reality. Why? Because as you do that, you get to experience more of aliveness. You get to experience more the possibility of contentment, satisfaction, well-being. Why? Because that is your nature. That's what you are. Wisdom is what you are. Happiness is what you are. Yeah? Contentment is what you are. It's not something to be achieved. It's not an experience that you get when you behave a certain way. It's always the same. It's always the same. See, what I'm interested in, what I'm focused on is trying to get across to you the significance and the importance of the understanding of the truth and the necessity of doing the practice to realize it. That's what I'm interested in getting across to you. I can't control the process. If you're here right now, if you're hearing my voice right now, as one of the most famous teachers said, your head is already in the tiger's mouth. If you're hearing my voice, right? If you're here, then there's something here that is pulling your attention. There's something that's interesting you about this conversation, right? So what I recommend to you is follow that. Follow that. Come to understand, why is this attracting your attention? Why is this interesting you? What's it presenting you with like a possibility?
Because the personality wants this.
Yeah. Why does the personality want this?
Because they want to be happy and peaceful. And this sounds like a
Seeker.
panacea.
Yeah.
So that's not good because.
Seeker.
No, it's that is good. They want to want to be happy and peaceful. What's wrong with that?
Well, because it's the personality trying to achieve it, and the personality can never achieve it.
That's right. Now let me ask you a question. The personality can never achieve it. The personality can never realize the truth. The personality can never be happy, can never be peaceful. It's impossible. How can you tap into it when you are it? You're experiencing it right now. You are never not experiencing the truth. You're never not experiencing the truth. Never.
Should we meditate more than once a day?
So how do you come to this conclusion? How do you arrive at the conclusion that you're not what you are? How do you arrive at that conclusion? You're never experiencing anything but the truth. Never. So how do you arrive at the conclusion that you are experiencing? There's nothing but you. The problem is you think that the personality is all that you are. That's the problem. And you identify yourself as that, and then you think you're not it. But even when you think you're not it, you're it thinking you're not it. You can't get out of it. You can't escape it. You can't escape it. You can't not be what you are. You can't not be what you are all the time. So what the teachings and practices are about is seeing how you get confused about it. That's all. You get confused about it. You take the fact that because the consciousness is appearing in a limited form called the body and a personality, that it's not the consciousness. That's your conclusion. Because the consciousness is appearing as a body and a personality, it is the consciousness appearing as a body and a personality in time and space so that you can experience a human life. That's what has to happen for you to experience a human life. Then you take the human life to mean that you're not who you are. And we call that crazy. That's real. But because all of us are doing it, we take the crazy to be sane. And the ones that are sane, we take them to be crazy. No wonder the world's in a toilet.